Am I the jerk for refusing to divide the inheritance when I was the only one caring for our hoarding mother? I'm a 34-year-old woman, and out of 4 siblings, I was the only one who kept in touch with our mom after our dad passed away. His death shattered her, and she spiraled into severe hoarding, like something you'd see on a reality show. Her home was a nightmare, reeking of urine, with dead rodents rotting under heaps of garbage, mold creeping up the walls, spoiled food in the fridge, and even human waste in corners. One by one, my siblings pulled away, saying it was too much for their emotional well-being and that they didn't want to remember her that way. I got their reasoning to an extent, but I couldn't abandon her. So I stayed. I visited weekly, brought her food, managed her prescriptions, paid bills she couldn't handle, and scrubbed floors stained with filth. I pleaded with her constantly to get professional help, see a doctor, or allow a cleaning crew. But she was obstinate, lost in denial. When she passed last year, I found her alone, surrounded by the chaos she'd created. That image still torments me. There was no formal will reading or legal fanfare, just a handwritten note, signed and dated, stating that everything, the house and her modest savings, went to me. Her words, because she's the only one who stayed. And I was. After her death, I tackled the hazardous mess of her home alone. I spent thousands out of my own pocket on a hazmat cleanup team because it wasn't just cluttered, it was dangerous. I handled the grief, the cleanup, the paperwork, and her funeral arrangements solo. When the house was finally cleared, it was appraised, and to my shock, it was valued at nearly $750,000. Suddenly, my siblings, silent for years, reappeared. They're now accusing me of manipulating her, isolating her, and swaying her decision. One even claimed I cashed in on her illness. But I didn't profit. I endured. I sacrificed years of my life, my mental health, and nearly my marriage caring for a woman they all abandoned. I told them no, they don't get to ignore her when she needed them and then demand a share when she's gone. Now they're threatening to sue, claiming they'll contest the will despite no proof of coercion. I'm not guilty, but I'm exhausted. So, am I the jerk for refusing to split the inheritance 4 ways to appease them? You need a lawyer to validate that will in probate court. If it's not deemed valid, most jurisdictions will split the estate equally among heirs. Keep all receipts for the cleanup costs. You'll likely be reimbursed before any distribution. Not the jerk. Also, gather any proof of expenses for your mom's care and home maintenance over the years. Ask your lawyer if you can be compensated for your time, as someone else would have needed to hire caregivers or cleaners otherwise. Good luck. Not the jerk. Document your hours and keep receipts. With a mentally ill mother and no filed will, the estate might be split, but you could claim reimbursement for your efforts. Vultures always swoop in after the hard work is done. My grandma and great-aunt, twins with Alzheimer's, were cared for by us for years without help from my aunt or uncle. The day we moved them to a care facility, guess who showed up to rummage through their belongings? My grandma, who couldn't recall breakfast, heard my aunt's voice and hissed, "What's she doing here?" It was a lucid moment sparked by deep resentment. My brother tried contesting our dad's will, but it was notarized and airtight with witnesses and an attorney. Dad, a sharp businessman, put me on the house deeds with survivorship rights, so it wasn't even inheritance. It was already mine. Miss him daily. Our grandmother passed away recently, leaving her house to me and my sister equally. Her will explicitly states the house must be sold, with proceeds split 50-50, no ambiguity. I was very close to Grandma, especially in her final year, helping with errands, doctor visits, and being her main support. My sister, however, rarely showed up, only checking in sporadically. I carried the emotional and physical load of caregiving. Now things are messy. My sister insists we keep the house so she can move in with her 2 young kids, saying she needs it more as a single mom. She's called me heartless for wanting to follow the will and even suggested that if I force the sale, she'll never forgive me, framing it as a betrayal. I've tried to compromise, offering to let her buy my half, but she says she can't afford it, and insists I should do the right thing by giving up my share since I'm child-free and financially stable. She thinks her struggles entitle her to the whole property. It's become a family drama with distant relatives who weren't there during Grandma's decline, calling me greedy and siding with her because she has kids. Nobody acknowledges that I'm just honoring Grandma's wishes or that I sacrificed so much while my sister was absent. I don't want to fracture the family, but I don't think it's fair to be pressured into giving up what was legally and intentionally left to me. Grandma wanted the house sold and split evenly. Am I the jerk for refusing to surrender my share? Not the jerk. Tell your sister she can buy your half at fair market value or pay rent, but you're not gifting her the house. Relatives chiming in can help her buy you out if they care so much. Oh, they don't want to pay? Neither should you. It's wild how people think their life choices, like having kids, should burden others. Kids are tough, but that doesn't mean siblings owe you financial support or free childcare. My husband and I, with our kids grown, get flack for not bending to family demands just because we're free. Our time is ours. Buzz off. Not the jerk. Tell those relatives to buy you out if they're so invested in your sister's situation. Her expecting you to forfeit your share regardless of your stability is entitled. She needs to learn her financial struggles aren't your responsibility. Don't cave. She'll keep expecting handouts. Having kids was her choice, not yours to subsidize. I've never had a great relationship with my dad, largely because of his partner, Blair, who's overbearing and ignores boundaries. It's like no means maybe to her. This has been an issue since I met her, but it's worsened since I had kids, so I keep my distance. Recently, Blair and my dad planned a trip to Orlando in July. A month ago, she invited me, my husband, and our kids, 7 months, 3 females, to join. I politely declined, citing our planned January trip and my likely work commitments in July. I didn't mention that we've traveled with her before, and my husband would rather swallow nails than repeat it. A week later, Blair asked again if we were sure about not joining, and I confirmed. Then my sister called. She'd heard from Blair that I was considering going and invited her too. I clarified again with Blair that we weren't going. Finally, she asked if she and my dad could take my kids to Orlando. I said no, as we live far from the U.S., and I wouldn't let my young kids travel internationally without us. Last week, while my sister babysat, Blair stopped by to drop off a gift for my husband and told my kids we were all going to Orlando in July. My son was thrilled, talking nonstop about Disney, and my daughter soon got excited too. It was heartbreaking and infuriating. I called Blair and gave her 2 choices. Tell my kids she lied, or I would, without sugarcoating. If she did it, she could apologize and explain. If I did it, I wouldn't soften it for her. She chose to call them, and with the phone on speaker, I ensured she admitted the lie and clarified no trip was happening. My kids, especially my son, were upset, but my husband and I comforted them. My dad texted saying he didn't like how I handled it, that Blair's upset because the kids might be mad at her, and that I should apologize or help the kids forgive her. I don't see why. She lied, and I'm not responsible for her feelings. We're still arguing, and neither of us is thrilled. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She lied to your kids after being repeatedly told no. You owe her nothing, especially not an apology. Your dad should apologize for defending her boundary-crossing behavior. Consider low contact with Blair. She acts like a child. I've thought about limiting contact because dealing with her is exhausting. Tell your dad you won't apologize to liars, and if he pushes, you'll reduce contact with both. Not the jerk. Blair created this mess by lying, and now she faces the consequences. The kids should be upset with her. You can talk to them about forgiveness, but it's on Blair to earn it. My daughter's mostly upset about the situation, not Blair specifically, but my son's definitely mad at her. My cousin, 27F, and I, 25F, are close and often share clothes. A few weeks ago, she asked to borrow a favorite dress of mine for a wedding. It wasn't high-end, but cost about $180, and I'd only worn it once. I hesitated, but lent it. asking her to be cautious. She promised she would. Days later, she returned it in a plastic bag, reeking of wine with a massive stain on the front. I texted her immediately, and she replied, "Ugh, I'm so sorry. Crazy night, LOL. I asked her to cover dry cleaning or replace it if the stain didn't come out. She said she's broke and asked if I could just wash it. A professional cleaner couldn't save it. The fabric was ruined. I asked her to split the cost of a replacement, and she got upset, calling me shallow and saying I shouldn't have lent it if I wasn't okay with damage. I said I'm fine sharing, but if you ruin something, you should replace it. She's been distant since and hasn't taken accountability. Am I the jerk for asking her to pay for it? Not the jerk. Stop sharing clothes. She knew what she did and expected you to let it slide. Call her out at family gatherings. Careful passing her that dish. She might treat it like my dress, ruined with wine and left in a bag, then refuse to pay for it. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories. Get more experiences.